Okay, so who else is sick of this year? Hi, yeah, end of 2018 updates video on the channel, and content has kind of been anemic for the last 5 months, primarily due to all of the content claims I have been repeatedly getting from Toei. It's like, it never seems to end that with them, because I can have a video uploaded and unlisted on YouTube and it'd be completely fine for weeks, and then suddenly a new content claim that was not claimed before pops up because some new bots found something. Like everybody else on the site, I really do believe that it's better when those bots tell us every single thing that is wrong with our videos so we can try and fix it immediately. You know, that's a tentatively good way to deal with it if they have to be abusive about it, because then they're happy, we're happy. But no, every time, it's every month before we would, if we posted at the beginning of the month, we'd have a month of revenue, and then boom, video would be snatched away and all the revenue would be lost. It's been what we've been seeing, and Toei has been the most abusive about it. And honestly, between it and a few other events, I feel like I have lost most of my interest in actually talking about Toei products, because it is that caustic and vindictive now. It is not the only thing that has made me come to this conclusion. Kamen Rider Zio, on top of being an absolutely terrible show, has brought out more than just the caustic elements of the fandom with this. Both directed at the show, because the show is deservedly terrible, and I've been keeping track of it, even though I haven't been doing like vlogs or much commentary. I've honestly tried to just blacklist it and do what I've done with most of Shirakura's projects since I decided I was done with him. Just basically wait for it all to be over and call out every single piece of shit that he's lying about as it happens, because the man is a consummate liar. The Tokusatsu Network, for example, has translated and posted up 3 interviews made by him about the 20th anniversary of Kamen Rider and Zio in specific, and basically everything he says in those videos, or not videos, everything he says in those interviews is basically based on lies. Not even basically, it's almost all a collection of lies that anyone who has any legitimate experience with the fandom in any era of it, especially the show era content like I do, can pretty simply call it out and cite here, 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 and here, where he's basically never seen or never knows anything about the content and is twisting it to his own perspective. ZO likewise reflects this, because it is, well, continuing to be a continuous idiot plot that has now reached the point of Sogo Tokiwa crossing his own time stream, so he can't even, by the rules the show is playing with, he can't even change his own fate because he has interacted with his future self. At any point before this, had he just thrown away his damn belt, his personal timeline would have never crossed with his future self. His future self would have been able to be written out of time without problem, and thus, you know, he wouldn't have to exist at some point to, since Omazio also has time manipulation abilities, be able to be a living temporal paradox a la Savitar from The Flash Season 3, which gave all people all types of different conniption fits, but that is not the humor there. Bottom line, Zio has been doing horribly. One of the interviews with Shirakura has had even him admit that it's too confusing for anyone to really understand, which is as close to what we'll ever get with him calling his own work crap in all of this. And basically, I want to not be around Kamen Rider for an extended length of time because of it, and because of what the fandom's been doing. Okay. I mentioned this in one of the live streams recently when people asked why. That's because I've been so vehement against Zio, because I made very clear my reasons, and time has shown me to not be wrong on my predictions, because creator precedent is power in these kinds of situations. But, well, there is no beating around the bush about this. I've been getting death threats, and it's like, you know, I really should not be hold any interest to this, like, feeding the beast, feeding advertisement of Toei products, if this is the kind of backlash I'm going to get for giving well-reasoned critiques. Like, I know I have my own specific issues that will differ from other people's things. Like, I hate idiot characters, so I have little to no tolerance for people like Takaharu or Raito from Tokyuger, or I'm blanking on his name, but Patran Ichigo and most of the Power Rangers antics, or especially fucking lucky considering he does several, not even several, a multitude of literally offensive things during Q Ranger's story, and I basically guessed the entire plot of Q Ranger just from seeing episodes of it, or not episodes of it, episode trailers of it, and I've basically been doing the same with Zio thus far as well. And, like, I have low tolerance for bad storytelling. I call that out left and right. I don't like watching things that are badly told. I think that's the reason why a lot of things get bad ratings when you look at them over time. And, well, is this really the hill you're going to die on when you go after someone who's trying to provide informations and tries to approach this content and its recaps from a drawn-back perspective, who just inserts his commentary and snark between the recapping points of the series, so you get the context and then you get the critical commentary? Like, I'm not even that big up on this. I've got like 3,200 subscribers on YouTube. Is that really deserving of this kind of hate? So, yeah, this is where I'm basically drawing the line and saying I need to step away from Toei because it is undeniably an abusive relationship at this point. Because if you can't see the idiocy of this man and how caustic he is to the franchise in basically rewriting its history, because he has done that on so many occasions now that basically if you can't see it for yourself, I'm just shouting into the wind at this point. I have things I would much rather do than deal with this kind of shit. And I'm actually being more, well, I'm swearing a lot in response to it because there's no other way to get it. The response to this is more ridiculous than the people who called Judd Lin, not called Judd Lin, but called for Judd Lin being beheaded and his head mounted on a pike in response to the Dino Charge finale. And hey, the Dino Charge finale was absolute garbage, but at least everyone recognized the Dino Charge ending was garbage. And people came around on the Dino Charge being terrible in the end. But here, you're defending a person who has been producing terrible content for 30 years and attacking someone who actually is putting all those facts of how harmful his content has been to the greater franchise out in the open. Like, every time other people, every time I tell other people about this, they call me crazy and a lunatic. And I last had this majorly before Zio when I tried to tell Mars Girl about all the Kaylin Saucedo, formerly of Channel Awesome, about this when it came to Amazons and how I pretty much called all the production problems of Amazon up front. And she told me, guys, it's just a kid's show. Ignore it. And I'm like, I ended up being mostly right on Amazon's problems. Like, almost dead on center of the root of them. It's like, precedent is really much power on this, and it keeps getting ignored, and I keep getting the backlash to it. And then people later on see the points as valid, except related solely to the show, instead of seeing the pattern laid before it, because I really can't date it back. I dated all of this back in the Hibiki review that never ended up getting published this year. So it's like, you know what? If you're going to, like, continue the cyclical, like, devastation, I'm gonna just walk away again. I do that already with Shirokura's projects. It's not that big a deal. I have so many other things that I could be talking about. I have so many other things I want to talk about that people have wanted me to spotlight. People have asked me if I would review the Mega Man Battle Network anime, and you know what? Going episode by episode through that would be an interesting way to spend a few years. Hell, those would be pretty short videos that could probably get out easily pretty weekly. And ShowPro, yeah, they're kind of heavy on copyright claims as well. Is it William No, that's the Red vs. Blue character. That dude in the suede, also formerly of Channel Awesome, had all of his Pokemon videos claimed by ShowPro. So I know they're a bit heavy-handed, but you know what? It'd probably be less abusive than Toei, as, well, if I did short videos, some of them would have to get past the thing, so I could potentially work on that in late 2019 for release in 2020, as otherwise 2020, for what I have, because of what I have planned for 2021, is going to be a pretty light year, so I could do that. I have had so many RPG projects that I've had to put off because I've had to prioritize tokusatsu stuff. Like, in another example, in 2017, at the end of my Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories review, I teased that I was finally going to be doing Final Fantasy X-2. I had to scrap that because of all the things that went down with my stepfather getting ill and my mom throwing me out so she could sell the house, and me getting the job I have now and the roommates I have now and the apartment I have now. And I have not gone back to work on that. Hell, I'm not really invested in going back to work on that because, well, with how Square Enix treated CyberConnect, I really don't want to spotlight any more Square Enix games on my show in doing RPG reviews. I don't think they're deserving of the attention with how they've screwed people and made so many bad business decisions concerning Final Fantasy 15, but that is nonetheless something I could still talk about and have more desire to talk about more than anything that comes from Toei right now, due to how horrible they've been and how much people ignore the problems of their work in this fandom, even though their ratings and sales have taken a nosedive with their more recent series. Like, it's completely across the board. You see this with Dragon Ball, you see this with One Piece, you see this with Digimon Apple Monsters, which was apparently terrible. You see this with the Precure series, and I have a few people who keep me moderately updated in how modern Precure series have been going bad, and how Zio is other crap. I get stuff from other Toku reviewers on that, which are pretty much in agreement with the points I made before the show even started. Yet again, precedent is power. And it was like, there are so many people that talk about this stuff. You got the RVT crew. Zeltrax Millennium has been doing custom figure commissions as of late, as he's kind of in bad straits. The Tokopedia group, the mods and admins. I haven't really been seeing people amongst the show who have liked it, and the conversations I've had with Aldo say that basically he was only watching the show now for the cameos, and the cameos are pretty much done and did horribly by pretty much all of those cameoing, even if they got, no matter if they were back for live footage or just reprising the voice work for the role, which doesn't really count in this day and age for them to really do that, especially with, basically they picked and chose who they were actually going to spotlight. But yeah, Toei has been doing so much terrible things as of late that I feel no regrets on stepping back and walking away, even though, you know, I have Hibiki half done. I have the Kabuto strip completed. And if you know, I've mentioned this a few times during the live stream videos, and believe it or not, with how much I've bashed on Shoji Onomura for being a hack writer, he only became a hack writer after Kabuto. He became a hack writer because of Shirakura shoving him in this production box, and then most of his work since then has been complete and total garbage. Case in point, his work early on in Yu-Gi-Oh! Range that helped to screw it over. But But I also, to contrast that against that, he's actually still done good Pokemon episodes, to believe it or not. If you would believe that or not. I'm not kidding on that. He still writes for Pokemon, and they're not terrible episodes. Hell, he's tried to, his work was somewhat damage controlling for how badly people received the end of the Kalos seasons and Ash losing the tournament there. So yeah, I actually did like Kabuto and have a lot of positive things to say about it, and pointed directly at where these were problems that were carried on, and worked and did as much as I could to dissociate his future crap from what he was doing there, as that's an objective perspective that I try to put into my reviews, and yet I get this thrown on me by trying to actually inform people of what was going to happen, and then did happen. I feel like I'm freaking Cassandra warning of the Trojan War's end with this. So, there are so many things else I could be doing, even if I did, if I were to either continue the Tokusatsu reviews or not. How many people would actually like me to continue off from where I left with Tiga, as Ultraman Tiga has 2 follow-up movies released in the early 2000s, and as the sequel series Ultraman Dyna that TV Nihon finished subbing a while ago. I could talk about Gridman. Unfortunately, as I've been told and updated, the original Gridman, though being subbed by the premium service Toku, has kind of iffy quality subs to it, but that would lead into talking about Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad and how it actually did a bunch of things right, and also 4S Gridman. People have asked me my opinion on 4S Gridman in some of the streams we did over the last month as well, and, well, obviously these people don't follow me on Twitter, as I've done live tweet updates as we've watched episodes, and much like my prediction powers for Q Ranger and Z Ozarks, I was dead center on right about where 4S Gridman was eventually taking its story. I admit to making a few wrong assumptions, but the bigger picture, yeah, I got that right because I was aware of the writing trends of its head writer, Keiichi Hasegawa, who worked on Kamen Double Fours, Drive, and Ghost, and most of the grand majority of Ultraman episodes written in the last 20 years. So, from awareness of all those, of the writing quality and story points that were common to that writer, I was able to figure out in advance of the story's developments where it was going, and I was able to do that from assuming the best possible outcome from the first aspects of its story. Zeo and Q Ranger, where I was very hostile to it, well, when I did those predictions, I was going from the worst case scenario common to the work from those production staffs, and I was dead on right. Almost dead on right. Few things varied from what I saw happening. And this isn't a pride or arrogance or I told you so kind of thing, just using previous data to supposition and a potential outcome. That's how prediction and precedent really does work for this kind of thing. And I hate being right in those kinds of circumstances because I don't want this content to suck. And yet, if you follow through on the, okay, I guess this is going to go by the worst case scenario, and then find out that you were dead on with it, it's like, you feel vindicated, but how should I put this? You're vindicated in knowing what was going to happen, but then you feel dread in that they really did go with the worst possible way to do this because they were lazy at the end of the day. And I don't want to be involved in advertising content that's just going to do that, especially with the backlash I keep getting with all these with this content ID stuff and the death threats. The actual thing that put me over the edge on this was, well, despite me using a VPN, someone tried to dox me and threaten. They just wrote my address in a email and just said, stop reviewing tokusatsu, with the threat being clear. Thing is, they put in my old address. My old Chicago address. That I moved out of over a year ago because Mom threw me out of the house. So, I don't live there anymore. It's like, I don't even know the people who bought the house and moved in. So, it's like, you screwed up your threat, but you know what? I'm gonna give you your demand because I don't want to be part of something that is just going to do that in the first place. It's like, you're getting what you want in the worst way possible as you're a douchebag. So, congratulations. I won't talk about Toei stuff anymore. Or at least not for the foreseeable future. It's like, not even a real point. And like I said, there are so many things I could finally focus on working on. Like I said, the Final Fantasy X-2 review, which takes forever simply because that game is so hard to actually 100%. Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. I could do Kingdom Hearts 2. I have a week off for Christmas vacation anyways because I've been working 60-hour weeks for several weeks. You're welcome if you get packages from Amazon, by the way. Because that's where I work. I could get the Digimon game reviews out faster. Obviously, I can't really do much with the anime because Toei, but one of the 3 Patreon request reviews of this year has been for Digimon Savers movie tie-in. So, since I finally have to do Digimon Savers game tie-in, I have told the person that requested it that I'm going to try and do that together and rejigger the Sabers review, as it kind of did a whole opening bit of, yeah, I didn't really watch Sabers because it was at the wrong time for me to watch it because I was in college at the time, and the college I was at did not have any of the Disney stations, which Digimon Savers English dub Data Squad was running on. Then when I caught it later, the Data Squad dub was not really something I liked. So I finally got to do that. I finally have to get out a review of Mega Man Battle Network 3, which I didn't do last year because over on Patreon, we hit the Patreon goal for reviewing Mega Man X Command Mission, which actually ended up being kind of an interest for me and to a lesser extent Matt to work on, as Matt helped me with not exactly some of the gags, but really just getting through the game as someone to comment on it with me while we kind of went through it in a boring manner. And that's the word I'm looking for. Dull. I was stumbling over my words there. When we were going through more of its dull sections. I have a few other things that I have written that is coming to my head at the moment. Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions. I can finally get to that. That was another thing that was supposed to be done in 2018 that got screwed over by both my hand, the injuries to my hand preventing me from editing, and also, trying to get all my content back up, which didn't really work because multiple waves of Toei content claims. And of course, finally getting Dot Hack Retrospective remastered, the first era remastered at least, up on YouTube. So you're still going to see about 30 to 40 videos from me, even though some of it's definitely been delayed a couple years in finally getting to releasing it. Actually, I think Kingdom Hearts 2 will be quickly on the docket since since Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out at the end of January, and that would be a good time to sync them up. So if I manage to get that out on time, that's probably the fastest I've been able to film footage and write a review and edit it in a long time. I also have another Patreon review that is on a completely unrelated topic. I originally told them that when they made the request that would be one of the first things I worked on for the year. In fact, I told them that it would be the first thing I would work on for the year. I am sorry, I really am. I'm going to have to renege on that. It will still be one of the first things I get out, though. It's only because I'm working under a deadline now for the Kingdom Hearts thing that it's going to, unfortunately, jump the docket. I am really apologetic on that. And there is also another review that I need to get out in March for a 20th anniversary celebration of a series I am a huge fan of, has mentioned a few times in example pieces on the show. Some of it has been snarky content, and is another series that got majorly screwed over by its production not production company, but the show that commissioned its production. I was stumbling over my words there again. To actually narrow it down, it is a sci-fi series, and it is not Japanese. And I know that doesn't really narrow it down because Fox screws over science fiction series on an annual basis, but it's not a Fox-based series. Nor is it NBC, nor is it ABC, nor is it CBS. It is actually from a cable network and ran from 1999 to 2003, and then got a miniseries because fans were so pissed off when it got screwed over, and then got even more pissed off when what it was canceled for turned out at the end to be utterly awful. I know that doesn't exactly narrow it down more, but let's say that sci-fi did not imagine greater. I'm kind of laying it on kind of heavy for this, but I feel like what I'm doing with that one is long overdue, and 20th anniversary is an appropriate time for that, so that's probably going to be the second thing I work on for the year. With the Patreon request I said would be the first, I will work on third, but I hope to get out early in February for them as still an apology and making it still one of the first things I get done. So yeah, that's on that. Update on Dot Hack retrospective. I filmed almost everything I need for footage recording from the games in 1080p. I still have to convert the footage for full-scale 1080p, as I kind of have to crop the footage because PS2 games odd window cropping. But from there, that's pretty easy. I am a bit into rewatching Dot Hack Sign and for remastering and rebuilding that from scratch, because it's a 2012-2013 video from me. I'm not exactly the most thrilled about the scripting of those videos, so they kind of need overhauls for that. 2014 onwards, I'm pretty good on... I feel as in the good point for where I scripted well, just had audio production issues and wasn't as funny and snarky as I could be, which, if you haven't been following me for long, tends to be a consistent problem with how I do things. It's like, jokes do not come easily to me. Non-sequiturs do, however, so yeah, those scripts are probably going to take me a bit after I get Kingdom Hearts and the special project and the Patreon request done with, but that'll be my big priority for this year to get those up, because I want to have that back up before I move on to new things. Lastly, the live streaming has been going well. I've been liking them. I have, for some reason, kept falling asleep during them. I have no idea why I'm doing that. I figure I just need some type of pep-up thing that doesn't involve caffeine, because, as I lampshaded in the Mass Effect reviews, caffeine puts me to sleep. I don't know why it does that. It just does it. I figure it's a brain chemical makeup issue, but regardless, I'm gonna have to find a way around that if I want to keep doing the stream stuff. Especially since, well, Matt and John are both, in their own respects, liking what we're doing. John less so, but Matt really likes the interplay we have with all the puns. We still don't have a bit of a problem with the chat in that, let me just admit this, I go off on the chat unfairly because they repeat stuff, and I hate unnecessary repetition. I really do, with the repetition of asked questions, especially if I have very thoroughly answered a question previously, and admittedly, that's on me, but it's like, it's my one thing. Don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat the same questions. Chat, try to have a chance to do that, because I don't want to see the same things over and over again in the chat. I also don't like people being assholes, so I block them in the chat. And the reason I've been using the Twitch chat for our cross-streaming so much for all of these videos is that you actually need to register and subscribe and go through all of these other hoops to just be able to get on the chat there, because Twitch chat has a lot of regulation to it, so that it basically gets the common commenter that's going to set off all of this, that will just make me like into this unnecessary rage demon from the actual stream. So that's why we do the Twitch chat and don't often put up the YouTube chat anymore. So you're someone who watches on the YouTube chat and you don't see me commenting at all, and I know people have done that because I've checked the chat logs afterwards. That would be why. Register for Twitch and use the chat there. Keep saying this on Twitter. I keep telling that off, so yeah, no reason not to know. But yeah, we're going to be continuing the streams next year, probably not as frequently until I get all the video editing done with, but Matt and John, my roommates, are very hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, very hyped for it, so they are, one or both of them are likely going to get the game, and that's another reason why I'm going to try and finish the Kingdom Hearts 2 thing as early as I am, because that way it can be there. Now, it's not like I'm not unknowledgeable on Kingdom Hearts 2. My college roommate in 2007 played the game on my PlayStation 2. John and Matt replayed it earlier this year when they got the 1.5 and 2.5 collection. And so basically, I've known the story twice over. I just need to record the footage and write up the review. So it's not like I'm going blind into it. But they played basically everything that's not on the 2.8 set, so they still know more of it than me, and they're really desiring to know how it all ends. So we might just end up doing streams of the entire game, or at least as much as Square Enix will let us, considering I am dead certain that I'm going to get a copyright claim for any video that includes an Utada Hikaru song, because that's the thing on YouTube. You can't use Simple and Clean, you can't use My Sanctuary, you can't use half of the licensed music in the Kingdom Hearts reviews in a review, even though it's a game music soundtrack. I'm not kidding on this. Gerard the Completionist had that happen with both of his Kingdom Hearts reviews before he ended up having to take both, since he's done more than that, I mean the Kingdom Hearts 1 and the Kingdom Hearts 2 reviews when they first went up. Actually, I think it was more the first Kingdom Hearts 1 review, and then the Kingdom Hearts 2 were where they tipped that off about My Sanctuary being bad, but My Sanctuary being off limits for their use. So, but those videos went down a while ago due to an unrelated thing, so I might be misremembering something on that. My memory is not always the best in these kinds of things, but regardless, yeah, might get copyright claims on that and not actually be able to show the results of the live stream. And that'd be ironic. We'll also try and get back down to doing dual streams. The reason we haven't been doing more of those is Matt and I have not synced up our work schedules. John is kind of on his own adjacent thing, so we don't have that together, but he doesn't really do Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, so it's just me and Matt not having good days in which to set up a stream for that with all the people we have in rotation for that normally, and that's why that's not been a thing. Plus, neither of us like Vrains. Vrains has pretty much cemented itself as the worst Yu-Gi-Oh! Series at this point, which is sad because I wanted Zell to remain the title holder for that. Though, at the very least, in Zell's case, it has excellent lore expansion and secondary characters. It's just the main character who is utter nonsense, and a lot of the number hunting stuff I have issues with. Severe critical issues. Critical as in critique-worthy, not critical as in on point. You got what I was going for. And Zell just has... Not Zell. Vrains has just so much more of nothing going on. And, well, a lot of the fandom is pissed off at what they've done to Aoi Zaizen and that is a whole other kettle of fish. But, yeah, Vrains and the bad decisions of the card releases during Vrains are pretty much why we've kind of scaled back on doing anything with Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. But we have another potential option for streaming stuff. And I mentioned this earlier during the anniversary proceedings in June. we're spending months in World of Warcraft. Yes. We're waiting on John to get a better computer than the one he currently is using for it, as it won't run World of Warcraft in its current state. The computer is kind of a piece of crap, and that it's equivalent to my old laptop that that had its motherboard break in 2013, if that's any indication of the quality of my old laptop. Actually, use it for dictation when I'm doing recordings in my room now, my old laptop, that is. So we're waiting for him to be able to get a better one than the one he currently has. Then we're going to try and set that up. So we're likely going to be doing that in May, and we're going to be doing it from level 1 plus heirloom level boosting, because World of Warcraft has a few different ways for boosting the rates at which things level to get to the late game faster, which means we can just pretty much go from story content to story content in the Cataclysm stuff. We are not doing World of Warcraft Classic. That is just too much of a massive time sink, and it's slated to, since that is slated to release in late spring, early summer. I like Blizzard games. I feel they're getting screwed over by Activision, so along with the StarCraft Let's Plays I've been doing, I have no idea how many people watch those. I don't keep track of those videos or any comments on them. I don't read YouTube comments, period, anymore. I want to feature some of their content before Activision makes them do something spectacularly stupid and screws over any goodwill to what was good about the company and the RTS and other types of games that really were industry giants, whereas their production time is worse than Valve time for what Valve's made, but it never really got an honestly bad game from Blizzard. And I feel that they're going the same way BioWare did when EA bought them out, thanks to the idiocy of Activision's own stuff. So I want to spotlight and finish up exploring the world of Warcraft with friends for once before that all happens. So we're probably going to be doing that for several months, possibly into next year, depending on, not next year, 2020 depending on how that goes. And I want to share that experience with people. So, yeah, Matt's on board with that. John is actually a big fan of the original Warcraft RTSs. My stepbrother, who I have mentioned on the show infrequently at times, is still a big World of Warcraft player and is far more into it than I have been, and he hasn't gone back to the early stuff in forever, so he is interested in joining our little party, and I honestly feel like I should be able to open that up to anybody that's watching or follows the show that wants to join in or feels the interest to. Now, again, this is not set in stone. There are a lot of things that are likely going to be happening between me stating all of this and the next 5 months. So, I don't feel like I should make anyone feel dedicated to that project. A lot of computers in their current state cannot run World of Warcraft. They've actually been adding patches to the game recently to try and make it easier on computers' processors to actually run it. But if you're at all interested in joining us, World of Warcraft does currently have a free-to-play 2-level 20 system that allows you to try out different character races and classes. So if anyone would feel like joining us in that, I'll be making a video once we get closer to start time about that kind of thing. And there is a refer a friend program with WoW 2, where an active player can give a newbie or someone who doesn't have an account with the game a month of game time to just try things out. And I feel that would be an easy way for anyone who would be interested in joining in, but was hesitant about paying real money for a month-by-month subscription, because hey, I don't want people to actually be wasting money on something they might not actually enjoy a chance at the game and joining us for however much time or little time they want to give into it. So, also, I don't want to, back to the streaming thing, I don't want to be that, like, jerky asshole that's yelling at everybody that I get in those streams, so, because that kind of stuff's meant to be social and relatable and nice, and I don't like getting angry. I really don't. So, like, I want to open up to people. I'm feeling encouraged to open it up to other people to join in, but there's still something that's hesitant to me actually going through with it. But I'm getting reassurances that we're probably going to have just an A team of regulars and then a B team of support, so maybe we won't actually interact that much aside from the bigger dungeons and raids that people will need help with. Who knows? Might develop in a completely different way than we might start out as. That's how things go with those massive multiplayer games. Maybe someone will try it and just not be interested and drop out, because that happens a lot with MMOs and other types of games. So if you're interested, don't feel pressured in joining us or ecstatic. I'll put out the invites. I'll put out the advertisements for when we're doing it, when we actually get closer to it, but we're definitely doing it next year at some point. It's just going to depend on our schedules, how they sync up, and what time we have available to do it in. So yeah, that's the end of 2018 from me. On the World of Warcraft thing, we are going to be having a stream before the end of the year where I take one of the player races and classes for a spin in the free level to level 20 stuff to give people an idea of how the game runs. And I'm going to be doing that for all of the playable races for the Alliance side, because I'm pretty sure we're just going to do Alliance stuff, not the Horde stuff, because I have never done any of the Horde stuff for World of Warcraft. But yeah, that's going to be coming up before the end of the year. If you like the show and would like to help us out, we now have an Amazon wish list of various, like, collectible things that I'm trying to get my hands on. Probably no one's going to actually purchase anything, but if you'd like to send us a Christmas gift, we would appreciate it. Otherwise, please consider supporting our Patreon. Our lowest tier is $1 a month in donations. It really helps us out and helps us feel encouraged to work more on the show and give you this content, even though we might just be doing different vloggy stuff depending on how things go next year. Like, we've been watching a bunch of various things that I think would make good roundtable discussion material that we just need to get the free time for, that we just haven't had all year. So hopefully we'll have more off hours videos next year as well. So yeah, also, please follow us on Twitter. Most of the show update stuff and our status stuff can be found on my Twitter account at Shinta. So yeah, like the people who have been wondering about how much I like Forest Gridman, I live tweet that. I really do. And yeah, we're basically drawing back from the tokusatsu stuff. Maybe more Surubaraya. We'll probably continue with the Tohoku Shinsha stuff, because Garo's never gotten me Toku related copyright strikes on my account, so again, we'll see on how that goes. I just don't want to deal with the bullshit that comes from dealing with any of the Toei fan stuff. Also, before we go, I also didn't mention this. I'm also stepping away from Power Rangers. Like, if you've not heard the new production information for Power Rangers Beast Morphers, same writing staff, same structure to the seasons, meaning they're doing the stupid season splits, which is inevitably going to screw over the show, because it always does. And Noam Keneal is still being the music producer. I'm stepping away from doing Power Rangers anything because it is dangerous to my health. I've never been kidding about that. What I said in the Dino Charge reviews about it being physically painful for me to watch an episode that has Noam Keneal as composer is absolutely 100% factual. He can literally kill me by potentially causing me to have a seizure. I am very careful about not being in situations with that, and yet I don't want to risk my health anymore to just talk about or prepare myself to review something that is complete garbage. It's really not worth it. It's basically the same thing with Toei, except the death threat taking a different form. And it's like, the show is still going to be terrible. We know this at this point. Precedent is power. Same thing with same thing I was pointing out with ZO, and just prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong about Beast Morphers. I would like Power Rangers to be good again. I doubt it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to be talking about Beast Morphers at all, because I don't want to risk my life because they won't fire a completely terrible music producer. Or music composer, sorry. So, yeah, just jumping in on that before I go, because I completely forgot to talk about it in this 46-minute video. Yeah, I should go. Thank you all for watching. Have a happy Christmas, Halloween, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and whatever holiday you celebrate at this time of year. And let's all hope that next year is a better year than 2018 was. I'll see you all next year. Wait, actually, I'll see you when I do the stream. You know what? Either or. See you later.